For my teaching aid, I have decided to use two separate worksheets to help better understand the different parts of the inner ear. The first part of my teaching aid looks like this. It is labeled at the top, the inner ear, and is followed on this side with a series of questions that corresponds with the numbers on the diagram. To complete this, the individual must answer the following questions on the one side and then mark them with the label on the diagram. Number 1 states, links the middle ear to the nasopharynx to help equalize pressure. This technically is part of the middle ear, but it was part of the diagram I had found, and that is right here. And the answer to number 1 would be the eustachian tube. Number 2 says, the blank nerve carries auditory sensory information from the cochlea of the inner ear directly to the brain. This is the cochlear nerve or the auditory nerve. And as you can see here, in diagram 2, that is the cochlear nerve. Number 3 states, the blank transmits sensory information transmitted by the vestibular hair cells. This is the vestibular nerve. And that, right near number 2, is where you would find number 3 pointing, and you'd write the answer on the line. Number 4 says, the blank is the part of the inner ear involved with the hearing process. It is a spiral-shaped cavity in the bony labyrinth. As we know, the spiral-shaped cavity, or the snail-like cavity within the inner ear, is the cochlea. And that is one of the main parts of the inner ear, as we see here. And then number 5 says, the blank are lined with cilia filled with endolymph. As the head moves, the endolymph moves the cilia, acting as a motion sensor to communicate with the brain. This question is referring to these 3 semicircular canals. That concludes the first part of the worksheet. It's kind of just a general overview of the different main parts of the inner ear. As we know, the cochlea is one of the main parts in the inner ear, so I thought it was necessary to do a whole separate worksheet on the cochlea itself. This is the second part of my worksheet and is at the top labeled the cochlea, and again has several questions on the side that corresponds with the labels in the diagram. So, the first one, labeled A, is the blank membrane is the membrane within the cochlea of the inner ear that separates 2 tubes that run along the coil of the cochlea, the scala media and the scala tympani. The answer to this one is basilar membrane. B, this organ or spiral organ is located in the scala media of the cochlea of the inner ear. The blank are 3 rows of outer hair cells and 1 row of inner hair cells. So as we know, the inner and outer hair cells are located in the organ of Corti, which in the cochlea is located right in this area. C, the blank overlies the inner hair cells and outer hair cells of the organ of Corti, and during acoustic stimulation, it stimulates the inner hair cells through fluid connecting. This is the tectorial membrane. So as we see, this area right in here is a tectorial membrane. D, the blank is between the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani, filled with endolymph and houses the organ of Corti. This is the scala media, which, as we know, the scala media is the center between the 3. E, this is a perilymph-filled cavity inside the cochlea of that conducts sound vibrations to the cochlear duct. It is separated from the cochlear duct by the Rensselaer membrane and extends to the helicotrema. This is the scala vestibuli. Then we have F. This membrane separates cochlear duct from the vestibular duct, and this is the Resner's membrane. So as we can see, letter F is the wall over here, and that is the Resner's membrane. G. Blank is the lower chamber of the cochlea and is filled with perilymph. So as we already discussed, we have the scala media, we have the scala vestibuli, and finally we have the scala tympani to make up the three different chambers within the cochlea.